All right. So, before going to what conflict management is, what conflict resolution is, first I would let you know the agenda, like what are we going to understand and what are the objectives of this, first of all. So, what are gonna be the objectives of this learning? What are you like after this session? You will be able to, be sure about these things that these things you have learned. So, of course, these are the things that you will be able to understand the relationship between the conflict and the organization. Then we are going to understand and identify sources and types of organizational conflicts that are there. Then different perspectives and conflict within the organization, how to approach towards that. So these are some learning objectives that we are going to go through this course.
Mhm. That
Then,
sounds good.
okay,
Yep.
I hope my screen is visible.
Yeah, it's up.
All right. Okay, so before starting the managing conflict, we will see the key learning principles in this.
Mhm,
So the first concept to remember is that learning is a process. So there are like for some 4 or 5 concepts that or principles that I'm going to tell you that will help you during this whole session. So first one is definitely learning is a process that it is not that only in the first session you will understand all the objectives and all the styles how we're gonna do it. So it is a process. You will get to know it one by one, or maybe when you go through the notes again. And so it is a whole process. Then second concept that you must be aware of is that there are different ways of learning. So we all learn with different ways. So I have tried to include some quizzes, some scenarios based examples that might
mhm,
help you during this thing. Then the third concept that is important is that learning is improved when it is goal oriented. So that is why I have first shown you the objective. So we have a goal that we are going to achieve these objectives during the session. So of course, it is improved when it is goal oriented. And the last
mhm,
principle that we are going to or that is there is active participation. So it improves the learning process. So I would request your active participation also. Maybe if you have anything in between, maybe if you want to, want me to slow down the pace, or want me to,
mhm.
if you have any issue in during this, so you can just
Yeah.
maybe raise your hand and make it interactive.
Yeah,
All right.
sure.
Okay, after setting all these rules and with the principles, now I think we are good to go and start with what managing conflict is, or what is conflict resolution. What do we
Mhm.
mean by that? Okay, so we will see what is there. So, what do we understand? First of all, before starting this, I would like to know your perspective. Like, what do you mean by conflict, and what do you mean by conflict resolution? Like, what is your understanding as of now in terms of your what you have experienced maybe in your organization? So, what do you mean by conflict and conflict resolution?
Mm, different, probably different interests, different probably different prioritization, and which will resulting as a result different timeline. And in probably in live example would be we want something delivered from our colleagues as soon as possible, ideally within this week or within today, but our colleagues have a different prioritization. And sometimes or we want to do something or want to go on with certain projects, but colleagues might have different views,
Yeah.
or could be also with external party as well. But I would probably say that's different perspectives, different interests, different understanding, I would say.
Yeah, correct. So it is there. There are, in an organization, different type of people works. There is diversification, and there are different interested parties are involved in any project or in any organization. So conflicts is very common. So there can be many cases when there can be conflicts. So before understanding that, let's see what is conflict. So it is basically a process that begins when one party perceives that another party has negatively affected or is about to negatively affect something that the first party cares about. That is when the conflict arises, right? When a
Mhm.
party thinks that the next party is, uh, going to affect something
Yep.
negatively for which the
Yep.
first party cares about. So that is
Yep.
what we basically mean by conflict. Then the sources of this information is also will also be shared with you. So this is taken from the basically this Thomas source. So
Mhm.
if you want, maybe you can go through it also. It is like more elaborated in that, but definitely
Mhm.
we are going to understand all of this here as well.
Mhm.
So after understanding the conflict, now I'm sure that you know what do we mean by conflict. We are going to understand that what types of conflict are there in an organization. So since we are understanding it from the organization perspective, we will be going to discuss what types of conflicts are there in organization, then how can we, resolve those conflicts, what are the styles. So we'll be understanding that. Okay. So what are the types of conflict within an organization? Let's see. What are the types? Since it is about the organization, there are these four types of conflict that is mentioned here, which is conflict between an employer and an employee. So, as we discussed, conflict between two parties. So, here the two parties are, in first scenario, employer and employee. Then it can be a producer and the supplier also. Then it can be a retailer and customer as well. And when we talk about the stakeholders or interested parties, then in that case, investor and entrepreneur also can come in type like in terms of organizational conflicts. Okay, so we understood the conflicts between the organization, what parties are involved, like what type of parties that can be involved in this conflict. So when we see that these are the types of like conflicts, then we will understand it a little better. So what comes in employer and employee? I'll just give you a little examples. Like if we see the example of compensation packages. So what can be the conflict here? Can you just give me a situation like the compensation packages?
Oh, well, and of course, in employees naturally will ask for more, and it's in employers' interest to control costs. It's also that was
Yeah.
natural.
Yes. Similarly, if we see about the next thing, that between a producer and supplier, if there is any late delivery or raw materials, so in that case, the conflicts arise, right? So before understanding the conflict resolution, we are just in deeply understanding the type of conflicts and in which case scenarios it can happen. So that this will help us to understand better. When we know the
Mm-hmm.
base of the conflict, then we will
Yep.
understand better the resolution. So
Yep.
in that case, if it is between a producer and a supplier, so if you take the first one, quality of raw materials that are supplied. So
Mm-hmm.
just for an example, if the quality that of any raw material that is supplied is not good, then there can be a conflict uh, between the producer and the supplier. What can be the conflict? Similarly, the definition that we have learned, that first party thinks that the interested parties action or their work can affect the first party in any negative way. So if the
Mm-hmm.
quality of the raw material is bad or not good, then the first party's the process or the whole work is going to affect negatively, and
Mm-hmm.
that is when the conflict arises.
Yeah.
Okay. Similarly, how can it arise between a retailer and a customer? Like, what can be the situations are given here? Quality of the product or service sold between a retailer and customer. Then, if there is a late payment, that can also be an issue. Then, poor after sale service. So when the sale is done and then there is some poor service, maybe it requires some after service and it is not available. So that is when the conflict
Yeah.
can arise in between any retailer and customer. Then if we see about the investor and entrepreneur, how what type of conflicts can be there? Refusal to provide the capital. If the investor refuses to provide the capital, then default on the repayment of loans. So these are some of situations given here. This will help you to whenever you are going to understand the conflict in deep. So these situations definitely are going to help you. Okay,
Yeah.
so after understanding the type of conflicts within the organization, we will move forward to the source of the organizational conflicts. So, what are the
You-
sources of these organizational conflicts? So, there are four sources that we are going to discuss. Uh, First is interdependence. Next, employment relationship.
Yeah.
Third one is limited resources, and then differentiation. Okay, we'll understand this in detail. Okay,
Yeah.
these are the four sources for you.
Mm-hmm.
So, what do we understand by interdependence? Let's see. So, what is basically interdependence? So, it is basically the degree of interdependence between individuals and groups can be a source of considerable conflict within the organization. To illustrate where rewards are based on the quality of the product produced and where this quality is contingent on the performance of another group. So in this case, it is interdependence, like maybe two teams or two people are interdependent.
Yeah.
So in this case, if we see to illustrate where rewards are based on the quality of the product produced and where this quality is contingent on the performance of another. So it is interdependent on like two groups here, we can see. So these are the sources. Then if we see the next one, which is employment relationship. So a source of conflict here emanates from an imbalance between these two. So the imbalance can be between the employer's requirement of productivity and cost effectiveness and the employee's desire for security and rewards. Like we saw previously, that how can be a conflict arise between the employer and employee. So this is the source of that. So here, since we are studying the source, so this is the source of employment relationships. So what can be the scenario here, that the employers is requiring of the productivity and the cost effectiveness, while the employee desires for security and rewards. That is where the conflict can arise. So maybe if you take it from any your real case scenario, it can happen with you also. Suppose you are in like in talk with some employee and they have this issue, and you know that the employer wants the productivity and focus on the cost effectiveness. So that is the source of the employment, it is called the employment relationship. Then the third one that I have told you, which is limited resources. This is the source
Yeah.
of organizational conflict. Third one, which is limited resources. So what are here, what do we understand by this? When groups and individuals are in direct competition for the allocation of limited resources across the organization. So there you can see some examples as well. So in examples, there are human resources, financial, technology. So uh, when it is in when the group and individual are in direct competition for the limited resources, that
Yeah.
is when. So if it is limited, like if human resources are there, so that is if it is limited resource, so
Yeah.
that is also a type of source in any organizational conflict. And
Yeah.
the last one, the fourth that we saw, is the differentiation. So what do we understand by differentiation? First of all, here we have definition by this personality, the Buchanan definition that that we call, which is the degree to which task and work of individuals are or groups is divided. So that is the differentiation source of organizational conflict. This differentiation leads to the development of cliques which are maintained by the norms and standard of that group. Conflict arises with individuals or groups operating outside. So when they operate outside of the particular the defined groups or individuals or task or work, that
Yeah.
is when the conflict arises. So these are the four main sources. Again, I'll just reiterate for you: the interdependent source, the employment relationship, the limited resources, and differentiation. So these are the four main sources of organizational. Okay, then we will see impact on the organization. So there are two types of impact mostly, the positive impact and the negative impact. So what happens in this? So you see the positive that I saw and the negative that I told you. So what happens in positive impact? So these are the some points to be noted, maybe to be understand. Uh, what like what does happen in that case? So it demonstrates commitment if there is any positive impact. Then it highlights problems within the organization. uh, Suppose there is any conflict between two, like employer and employee, and in that case if there are some impact, like we have analyzed some impact and it is positive, so these can be the scenarios that what can happen. So it can highlight the problem within the organization. It is not always that the other party is wrong and the first party is right. It cannot be like that. It is always like we measure it in positive and negative way. So there
Yeah.
can be some positive outcomes also of the conflicts.
Yeah.
So next is stimulates creativity and innovation. Of course, in the whole process of the conflict resolution and management, the creativity and innovation
True.
increases and stimulates.
True.
Also, it allows staff to value different perspectives. How does it do that? Because we are going to deal with different type of stakeholders, different parties are involved, and that is where the value of different perspective comes.
Yeah.
So, and the next positive impact can be that it increases motivation to learn.
Yeah.
So these are the positive impact on the organization that can happen when there is any conflict arises. Along with that, there are negative impacts also. Let's see what are the negative impacts. So what are the negative impacts here? So it can reduce the productivity. Uh, how can it reduce the productivity? Can you give like any example of your understanding? What like in any case scenario, if you can help me tell, like what do you understand by this negative impact?
Probably the reduced productivity. Typical one would be for instance, I want my colleague to do something for us, but this is not her or his top priority, and then we spend lots of time
Mm,
arguing. My project has higher priority. You should do this one first, and then no, I cannot do this. There are other things on my plate right now. If we couldn't resolve these, we might have to even escalate these kind of arguments. So our
yeah.
supervisors may have to step in. So that's probably the reduced
Yeah,
productivity part.
correct. Yeah, that is where the productivity of the whole team is going to reduce, because like everyone is, if like all the interested parties that are involved in that particular conflict, the productivity is going to reduce because their focus will not be on the main goal or task, their
Yeah,
like regular task. The focus will move. So this is a kind of
yeah,
negative impact. Then increased stress, of course, as we know, of course, that when there are conflicts, the stress increases, whether it is any organization or any type of conflict. Then inefficient communication channels, ineffective decision making, poor cooperation, and low morale. So these are some negative impacts. Okay, I think this is very much understandable, the positive and negative impacts. Moving on, we will see the perspectives on conflict within organizations.
hmm
So, Again, there are four type of perspectives that we are going to learn. First is a unitarist, then pluralist, then interactionist, and the fourth one is radical perspectives. So these are the four types of perspective. Uh, let's see this in detail to understand it better. Okay, these are the four perspectives on conflict within any organization: unitarist, pluralist, interactionist, and radical. All right. So let's see in detail what do we mean by this. So what happens in this perspective, the unitarist perspective? Conflict in an aberration as a result of something going wrong. Conflict is predominantly negative as it in contrast to a natural state of unity and harmony. And in this unitarist perspective,
Yeah.
conflict should be avoided, and it is a manager's task to eradicate that. So here the task also
Mm-hmm.
assigned, like whose task is it is to eradicate the conflict,
Yeah.
to it, who should be avoiding it. Then the next one, if we see pluralist perspective. So these are just the perspective we are understanding. In this perspective, conflict is a naturally occurring phenomena within the organization, and it is not necessarily negative. So if you just see here
Yeah.
in unitarist perspectives, we saw that conflict is predominantly negative. In pluralist perspective, we are seeing that conflict is not necessarily negative. Then who should be doing the who is the task manager for this? So management should expect it to occur, and as a result must be prepared and trained to both and resolved. So this is a manager task. Again, management. Moving on to the next one, which is interactionist perspective. So, what do we understand by that? The This perspective accepts the previous two positions. So, it accepts the pluralist and unitarist perspective. But research suggests that too much unity can restrict innovation, and that conflict also may not always be negative. So, in this perspective, also, as we have been seeing, here also we saw it is not necessarily negative. Here we saw it is conflict. Conflict is predominantly negative, and
Mm-hmm.
interactionist perspective. What does it say? That it may not always be negative, but there are situations where it can be negative, and it is a manager's job to stimulate a degree of conflict to generate innovation in this. The fourth one, if we see, and the last one, which is radical perspective. So, what do we mean by that? Grounded in Marxist theory, this perspective believes that conflict is a manifestation of a broader social class conflict regarding the distribution of wealth and power. So these are the different perspectives that we have been studying from different point of views,
Mm-hmm.
or the main four types that we saw, the main four perspectives. In this sense, conflict is a means to instigate change. And if we saw this one, interactionist, we saw that it is about the innovation. Here,
Yeah.
conflict is a means to change. Okay, after understanding the perspectives, uh, I'll just give you a little recap. We have seen the perspective. We have understood the impact on the organization, which is positive and negative. We have understood the four types of organizational source of organizational conflict, basically. And before that, we have seen the types of like conflict within the organization. So we
Mm-hmm.
saw the it is between employer, employee, and like this. Let's move on. Our next topic is going to be sit. Huh. It is conflict resolution roles. So
Mm-hmm.
after understanding the perspective, we are going to understand the roles. So what are the roles in the resolution? So there are three main roles that a person plays in the resolution of any conflict. So these are the three main roles. First is the arbitrator role, then the mediator role, and the third and the last one is advocate. So whenever there is any conflict resolution we are doing, we have to define these three roles first of all. And basis on that, we have to move forward. So what happens in these three roles? So we'll understand one by one. The first one is arbitrator. What do we mean by that? Let's see. What happens in this role? Uh, this happens when both parties cannot find agreement by themselves. So there like a third person or maybe a third team or some like that has to come into the picture in order to find the solution, find the agreement between two. So when the both parties cannot agree, then the third person has to come, the arbitrator, entrusted to make the decision. This person is entrusted to make the decision, meets both parties and gather information on their position. Then it uses information to make decision. Okay, these are the this is the basically the role of the arbitrator. So now whenever you are doing any like any conflict arises and you are doing the conflict resolution, you have to define the role. You have to define the previous things that we discussed, the perspective and the type of conflict. So these are the things that you have to define while doing any conflict resolution. I mean, this will help you understand it better and to provide a like innovative solution and resolution of the conflict. And the next role is mediator. So mediator focuses the parties from positions to interest. This is the role of the mediator, as we can see by the name also. This is the mediate person. Yep. Who refocuses the parties from positions to their interest. The mediator determines the real positions of both the parties, I mean, both the sides or the interested parties or the stakeholders, whoever is involved in the conflict. Also, it defines these in terms of interest. So, positions and interest, two things needs to be defined for this role. Like if someone is mediator, they need to do this thing. Like they need to define the positions of both the parties. Then interest in terms of like what is the interest, what is the basically the focus of the conflict, like what should be the in focus of the innovation and resolution. Also, the mediator engages both parties in the process of generating alternatives that may satisfy the needs of both the parties. Mhm. So this is basically the role of the mediator. Again, if I just give you a recap about the arbitrator. So what does the arbitrator do? Arbitrator comes into the picture when both parties cannot find agreement by themselves. The arbitrator is entrusted to make the decision. Like both the parties have to align with the decision of the arbitrator. Uh, what does it do? So, arbitrator has to first of all gather the information of both parties, meet both parties, understand the situation, and after that, the arbitrator has to make the decision. And for mediator, what does it do? Mediator refocuses the parties from their positions to the interest of the party. Uh, and then we saw what the mediator does. Then comes the third the role basically in conflict resolution, which is advocate. So advocate operates from a strong power base, as we can see by the role. Also, advocate influences the decision of an individual or a group through this power position using persuasion. um, that is how advocate gives any comes to a conclusion. So it influences, like advocate has a big influence on the final decision. Of course, the advocate also has his like his or her like process of the conflict resolution. They may also go through the each step by step, meet the individual parties and understand the conflict, then comes to the resolution. So these are the basically the three conflict resolution
Sorry,
roles.
sorry, I have one question, Ruth. about
Yeah.
the advocator. So
Yes.
their operator is it operates from a strong power base. I just want to make sure that by strong power base, do you mean more probably soft power, like persuading, being, I don't know, very good at negotiation, this kind of thing, or really from a hierarchical power, being the more senior
Yeah.
position?
Yeah, so a strong power base, we mean by this only, that what is the role of the that individual in the whole hierarchy, in the whole process.
Okay.
So if they have a good knowledge of both the parties, both the process that are into the conflict, then that is why it is said that they operate from a strong power base. So yeah, we mean by that who has the most knowledge about both the parties, and who has
Mm-hmm.
who are involved in the conflicts. So that is where that is why the advocate has a strong power base.
Okay, got
Okay.
it.
So these are the three roles that we discussed: arbitrator, mediator, and advocate. After that, we are moving on to the conflict handling strategies. So there are some strategies that we're going to discuss. We discussed the roles, we discussed the perspectives, the sources of these conflicts in an organization. We saw the in like both the parties in between whom the this can happen, like the conflict. And moving on, we are going to discuss the conflict handling strategies. So what do we understand by this? First of all, like, we have moved to this part. There are different type of strategies. So there are it is in pairs. If I just tell you that how these strategies are, these are in pairs. So uh, okay, these are like three type of strategies that we are going to discuss. First one is win lose strategy. Win or lose. Next one is lose and lose strategy. And the third one and the last one is win-win strategy. So these are the three strategies. So this is like an important whole important point of conflict handling and resolution, because these strategies are going to help in real cases scenarios also. Okay, so these are the three strategies: win lose and lose lose, and then win-win strategy. Let's go through it one by one. And uh, I would also suggest you to whenever we are discussing any strategy or anything, maybe if you just relate it to your any real case scenario or an example. Of course, we are going to discuss. I will plan. I mean, I have planned some quizzes or maybe little to discuss the case scenarios. We will going to do that. That will help to understand better how to apply, where to apply these things, how these things are coming into a real case scenario.
Mm-hmm.
So that will help, that will be helpful for you also.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Thanks.
Let's see about the win lose strategy. First of all, what happens in the strategy, the key points that are given here. That What happens that in this strategy neither party can achieve agreement, because it is win lose strategy. Goals are achieved at the expense of one party. Win party usually is possession of more power or resources, as we can see win lose strategy. So the party that will lose will definitely have less power or resources. So that is why the win party is usually in the possession of more power. And also it is suggested that it is not suited to building relationships. This strategy is not suited to building relationships. And this strategy is used when any decision has to be taken quickly. So there are different situations when we use these different type of strategies. Okay. Uh, then moving on to the next one, win lose strategy. And then next is lose lose strategy. In this, what can we see? So whenever we are understanding, we can just look at the comparative side of it also. What happens in win lose strategy, and what is the difference between lose lose strategy? So That is how we can understand and take decision that in which situation we have to use which particular strategy, which is the most suitable strategy to use in which situation, depending on the situations. Like in win lose strategy, we saw when the decision has to be taken quickly, that is when we usually use this strategy. Okay. Similarly, in win lose strategy, neither party can achieve agreement. In this also we can see neither party can achieve agreement, so it is kind of similar. Then goals are not achieved at the expense of both parties, while in win lose we saw that goals are achieved at the expense of one party. Here goals are not achieved at the expense of both the parties. Also, this strategy is used to eliminate conflict issue. uh, in any conflict issue, this we basically eliminate the that issue with the help of this strategy. Both parties usually possession of equal power of resources. This is also one difference that we can see in win lose strategy. Usually what happens in here, we saw that win party usually is possession of more power or resources, while in lose strategy, both parties usually is possession of equal power. So both have the equal power in this, because it is lose lose. It's not like
Yeah.
win win or win lose, not like that. There are some key approaches, like what happens in the strategy, what are the key approaches we should follow in this strategy. In lose lose strategy, introduction of an arbitrator. So we saw here arbitrator. So when both parties cannot find agreement themselves, that is when we introduce the arbitrator, and in the introduction of arbitrator is the best approach for this lose lose strategy. Then compromise seeking. After that, the following the rules to avoid compromise. So these are the key approaches. Like that is how we should approach this lose lose strategy. So we saw win lose strategy, lose lose strategy, and then the win win strategy. So in this strategy, what is the basically the purpose of this strategy? Um, is to like this the purpose of this strategy is to fix the problem without the blame. In this, we are not going to blame anyone. Like no one is going to lose if two parties are involved, or maybe more than two parties are involved. No party is going to lose. It is a no, it is to fix the problem, like do the conflict resolution without blaming any party. All right. So then those who use it listen to all points of view, define the basic issues, and create an atmosphere of trust among all involved. So this is the uh, role in this strategy. So whoever use this strategy, the win-win, they listen to all the points of view, like whoever is stakeholders, how many stakeholders are involved, and then the basic issues we have to define, like what are the basic issues in which for which the conflict is there, the conflict arises,
Yeah.
and create an environment of trust among all the involved parties. All involved parties must believe that resolution will be based upon the merits of the case and not through any influence, any external influence, basically, political or personal or any type of external influence. So in this, they have to believe this. Uh, and while using these strategies, also we have to define the roles, like in lose win strategy. Sorry, lose lose strategy. We saw the role of an arbitrator. We introduced. Okay, then win-win strategy. Those seeking a win-win solution should be flexible, sensitive, patient, and calm. Also, no one should feel threatened or humiliated. So these are some key approaches or key points that we should keep in mind while using any of these strategies. So while using win-win strategy, we should keep in mind that those whoever is going with this strategy, they should be flexible, sensitive, patient, and calm in terms of flexible in terms of maybe different point of views, different perspectives,
Yeah.
sensitive towards other parties. Maybe they have a different opinion, but it's still they should be sensitive and considerable towards the other parties. Also, all the parties should not feel threatened or humiliated in the whole process in this strategy, because this is what, as the name suggests, this is a win-win strategy. So it should be a win-win for all the interested parties. Okay, I hope this is clear. Also, assumptions of win-win. So, this is what we pre-assume when there is a win-win strategy. So the pre-assumptions are that people want to work together, people can work together to solve mutual problems. So here, if you remember the role of the this role that we use in this strategy, lose-lose strategy, the role of an arbitrator. So what is the role of an arbitrator? When both parties cannot come to an agreement, then the arbitrator comes into the picture. But in win-win strategy, what are we assuming? That we can mutually solve the problem. So here,
Hmm.
arbitrator cannot be the role of the arbitrator is not required at all, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Then people respect each other's right to participate in decisions that affect them. So, as we saw, the respect, flexibility, sensitiveness, and being patient, these are the main points that should be considered in this strategy. Similarly, people respect each other's integrity, capabilities. So it is kind of a very, you can say, positive strategy. Like we are going to get the positive results with this strategy because it is a win-win. People working in the same organization share the common goals of the group. This is also like, since the goal is common for all the parties, uh, whether it is the other party or the first party, as we discussed, like whether maybe just take an example, whether it is an employer or the employee, if the goal is same, that is when in win-win strategy, these things are like assumed that this must be the situation, must be the cases, then only we
Hmm.
are going to apply the win-win strategy. Okay,
Nope.
I hope this is clear. After the strategies, let's see this one. So conflict handling strategies for managers. This is the main three type, which is non-attentive, suppression, and resolution. Now let's see what do we mean by this. Non-attentive, suppression, and resolution. So this is the strategies, and then there are conflict handling styles also that we are going to discuss. I think conflict handling strategies for these are, I don't think we need to discuss in deep because it is like explainable. Uh, Resolution is a strategy that we can do while finding any resolution, or and then we have to apply the roles that what we have studied, and then under that the role of the manager is also that we have studied in our previous and what we have studied, like the strategies, the roles, then what is the role of the particular person in that. Then we have also seen the different perspectives. So that is what we are going to follow in this one as well, which is for the
Hmm.
managers.
Hmm.
After the strategies, there are these styles that, so this might be the important one to understand here. The conflict handling style. So after defining our strategy, we have to understand that what style are we going to follow. So if you just see this image here,
Hmm.
it is cooperativeness and then the assertiveness. Competing, collaborating is there, avoiding, accommodating, and compromising. So these are the styles. We'll see this here. What do we understand? Like one by one, competing. So win-lose situation, as we discussed. when it is about competing. So conflict resolved in the interest of one party. So what happens in win-lose situation? I'll just scroll and show you what we
Yeah, it's
studied.
probably the win-lose
Yeah,
mode.
so in
Yeah.
this, it is about win-lose. Like one party is going to win, one party is going to lose. Okay. So also it is not suited to building relationships. So this is very important to understand, like for which situation, which style we should pick. That is why these points are given here to understand better, like in which particular situation. So if it is about building relationships, we should not use this strategy. Okay. Then relationships can be damaged and resentment can develop on the part of the loser. So if we are going to if there is any conflict between where we have to build relationships, this is not advised to use this one. uh, then applications of competing, if we see, when decisive action is required quickly, cost cutting, then redundancies, disciplinary issues. So here a decisive action is required quickly in such scenarios. Then when the organizational welfare is at
Mm.
stake. So this is like when conflict, we cannot take like much time in the resolution of conflict,
Yep.
and it is required quickly. So these are some points that need to be considered while looking or picking the style of the conflict resolutions. After that, competing. Next one was collaborating. If we see here, competing, collaborating, compromising, avoiding, and accommodating. So we understood competing. Now let's see collaborating. Collaborating, it is a win-win situation because all the parties are collaborating. As the name suggests, all the parties are collaborating in this. So both parties will be satisfied because it is a win-win situation. Then what happens if we have to like if it is about building relationships or like that, then it strengthen the relationship, greater the trust, the openness, the flexibility. This is what happens in this collaborating style. Then applications, when both positions are too important to be compromised. So there can be scenarios when we can eliminate any one position if there are conflict between two. So we can eliminate maybe in some scenarios, if we see the supplier and customer scenario, in that we can maybe eliminate. It depends totally on the situation. So uh, in collaboration style, both the parties are equally important and it cannot be compromised. So both are important. When the objective is to learn and marry insights from different perspective, like when there are different perspectives and the objective of this is to learn and understand and come to a mutual resolution or a solution style. Also, to gain commitment by incorporating concerns. So these are the some situations when we apply this style, the collaborating style. Okay, then comes the mid one, which was compromising. So we understood the competing style, the
Mhm.
collaborating style, and then the compromising style. So as the name suggests, this is about the compromising style. Needs of both parties are satisfied in this. Trading or compromising of resources. So maybe there is some kind of trading or a compromises on the resources. Also, this style lays the foundation for a collaborating relationship. So when we do the compromising in any process or in any conflict, that is like the foundation, because after that we are going to collaborate. So that is why it is said that this is the foundation of a collaborating relationship. Then compromising also happens when positions are important, but not so much important as destroying the relationship. So, as we see in like previous ones, when if we see this one, when both parties are satisfied, so it in strengthens the relationship and everything. And then in competing, we see that in this relationships can be damaged because this is about win or lose. So similarly, in compromising, uh, both the positions are important, but not so much the as destroying the relationships. Also, to expedite a temporary solution on a complex issue. Um, this is about when there is a very complex issue that needs a lot of time and a whole process about the conflict resolution. That is when we come to a compromising state, that okay, let's come to a middle ground. As you can see in this figure also, compromising is like a middle ground here. So avoiding and accommodating here, and competing and collaborating. So compromising is a middle ground here when
Mhm.
we need a temporary solution to a complex issue. Also, when both parties have equal power and resources, are committed to mutually exclusive perspectives. So that is when we use the compromising style of conflict handling. Then comes the avoiding style. So, in avoiding style, as the name suggests, it is about avoiding the situation. So, in this, we are avoiding. So, it is a no-win situation. Like it is not a win-win, not a win-lose, not a lose-lose. It is a no-win situation, a no treatment of the conflict situation. There's a cooling off period, or it can lead to frustration and reduce trust levels also. uh, like applications of avoiding style when more important issues prevail. So it depends on the level of uh, priority also. Like what is the priority of the issue? When there is more important issues are there, then we choose this in order to avoid the less important or which does not have more impact. Uh, then we choose the avoiding style to allow for a settling period until emotional content has abated. Then, to allow others resolve the conflict. In this style, we can allow others to resolve the conflict. Maybe not only the conflict, maybe the management or the manager. Since this is not the very important issue, not a very important conflict. So in this case, we can allow others to resolve the conflict because it does not have any a direct impact on the main goal of the organization, as we can say. Then, when your own concerns cannot be satisfied. So these are some applications when it is used, when this particular avoiding style is used. Okay, moving on to the next one, accommodating. It may cause a lose-win situation. So when we are accommodating, like we are using the accommodating style of conflict handling, it may cause a win-lose situation. So either it can be a win or it can be a lose. Recognition that the other party has a better solution. Relationship more important than the solution. So these are the some points that we should see before applying any particular type of conflict handling style. Relationships are more important than solution in this particular accommodating style. It retains a good relationship and builds goodwill, because what is happening in this uh, like we are accommodating, so there is something that
Yeah.
like we are uh, uh, basically accepting that, or basically recognizing that the other party may have a better solution, so it is about accommodating with the other party.
Yeah.
Okay, so that is about the accommodating. The applications of accommodating is when you are wrong and a better perspective should be heard to the betterment of the organization. So, as we saw, that in this we recognize that the other party can have a better solution or a better perspective. Then the next application is to build relationships and secure organizational balance. Of course, since we are accommodating to the other party uh, perspective in this, then of course we are building a good relationship, building a good goodwill with the organization or with the uh, other interested party or the stakeholders. Also, the application of this is to minimize the loss. How? Because the loss, like how the loss is being minimized in this, because we are ready to accommodate or ready to understand the other perspective, the perspective of the other uh, team, person, or interested party, whoever is involved. So that is how we are minimizing the loss in this particular handling, conflict handling style. Okay,
Yeah.
understood all the
Yeah.
styles. Let's see
Yeah.
once more. We saw and discussed competing style, collaborating style, compromising, and avoiding, then accommodating. So these are more assertiveness if it is going like this, and these are more about cooperativeness if it's going like this. So we understood the styles. Okay. Now we come to the conflict outcomes. But before that, maybe we can take a small break, and after the
Mhm.
break, I will come up with some, some quizzes to discuss, and like what do we understand by conflict? What is the basic definition? So we have these options. Let's see. What do you think it is?
None
What
of
do
them
you
about
think?
everything. None
Sorry?
of them. None of them about, I guess.
None of the above. Okay, okay. And that is why I think this is a good practice to, go through it again. Okay, let's see one by one. First one is the option which is there is disagreement between employees only. So,
Mhm.
do we understand the conflict with this? Like, is it a disagreement between employees only? Then the second is a process where one party perceives a negative effect by another, and then the third one is a formal dispute process. And the fourth is none of the above. Okay.
Mhm.
Let's see. I will open the slides for you and we will see if it is matching with anything that we have discussed. So this is about conflict. What we have discussed about conflict, that conflict is a process that begins when one person or one party perceives the another party, that another party is negatively affected or is about to negatively affect, about which something the first party cares about. Okay, so
Ah, okay, cool.
what
I remember
was
it
our
needs two
question?
party. Oh, then it should be B.
Yes, so it should be B, right? Is it
Yes.
clear?
Yes.
I hope it is helping now. I hope you understand
Yes.
the intention behind the quizzes, right?
Yes, I remember it needs two parties, but yes. Yeah.
Correct. Good job. Okay. Then second one is two types of conflict commonly found within the organization. So if you remember, we have discussed the types of conflict. Since I know that we have just discussed it, so maybe you will not remember everything that we have discussed. I'll show you the slides. Okay. I'll make it easy for you. But I'm just doing it so that we can get a understanding of everything that we've discussed. We can
Mhm.
get an overview at least.
Yeah.
Okay, so do you like just I want to question, like, do you have, like, do you recall what we have discussed, the types of conflict within organization? Do you recall anything? It's okay even
Not
if you don't,
really.
we can discuss. Okay, it's okay, totally okay. Because you are going to get the notes and it's okay. But
Okay.
uh, yeah, now that we are discussing it, I would like if you just keep a note of the important
Yeah.
points that we are discussing. So it will help you if in future also. And it has been seen that when you are noting down the things, then you
Yeah.
are kind of recalling. So it will definitely help you even if you have the notes in future.
Yeah.
Still, I believe that noting down things is a very good practice. So I always encourage that. Okay. So types of conflict we have discussed. These are the four types of conflict that we have discussed. Between an employer and employee, a producer and their supplier, retailer and customer, an investor and entrepreneur, right? So this was the question. So I just asked two types, but now that we are discussing in detail, there are four types of conflicts in an organization. These are commonly found conflicts, right? So employer employee, producer supplier, retailer customer, investor and entrepreneur. Got it? Clear?
Yeah.
Great. Okay, next one. What are the four main sources of organizational conflict? If you remember, we have discussed the sources of
Yeah.
organizational conflicts, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
This one I remember. Yes.
you remember? Do
Yes,
you
I
remember the
remember.
sources? The name?
Interdependency of each other. I think their limited resources, and then their
Yeah,
employment. That their third
yeah,
one is
employment relationship.
differentiation between their different
Wow. Yeah, that's a good job. You got it right. Good job. So I must tell you one thing. Whenever I'm training someone or a batch of people, and when I do these quizzes and someone give me the right answers, I feel so proud. I feel so happy that whatever I have taught, the person has understood and recalls it. So yeah, good job on that. You understood it correct. It is interdependence, then
Mhm.
employment relationship, then the third one is limited resources, and fourth
Yeah.
one is differentiation. So
Yeah.
good job. These are the four ones. Okay, let's move on to the next one. Okay, which perspective on conflict believes it is a natural and unavoidable phenomena? So we have seen these four types, uh, and we have seen what it all believes, like each here. So I will just show you. Like before that, do you want to like give an answer or take a guess?
It's don't remember. It's either pluralist or the interactionist.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
If I have to
go
take a
ahead.
guess, it's probably interactionist.
Mm-hmm. Okay, okay. Again, I'll read the question. Which perspective on conflict believes it is a natural and unavoidable phenomena? So, it is a natural and unavoidable. Okay, let's see now if you are correct or not. So, these are the four types of perspective we studied. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
In that, you said either pluralist or interactionist. Let's see. Since we have eliminated the other two, I will just go through the pluralist. Okay, what you can see here, conflict is a naturally occurring phenomena within the organization. This is pluralist perspective. Okay. While interactionist perspective is it accepts the previous two positions. So it just accepts, but pluralist perspective says uh,
Mm-hmm.
that conflict is a naturally occurring phenomena within the
Mm-hmm.
organization, which is our
Yeah.
question is that which perspective believes that conflict is a natural and unavoidable phenomena. So here the correct answer would be pluralist.
Yes.
Okay. Next one. Name one positive and one negative impact of conflict on an organization. Do you recall when we discussed the positive impact and the negative impacts? So
Yeah.
by any chance, do you recall any? Okay, let's
Yes. The positive ones, I think, it shows commitments and highlight progress. I think it's about um inspire creativity and understand each
yeah.
other's perspectives. I think that's the main positive ones. Negative
Yes.
ones as well reduce productivities and then stressful situation. I think there are a few other
Hmm.
ones, but I don't
Yeah.
really recall.
Good job. Anyway, I just asked for one, and that's a good job that you have gave me like two or three. Okay, but just for since we're doing a recap, let's just see that what are the positive and negative impact. So you were right on the this part. Positives are that it demonstrates the commitment, highlights problem within the organization, it stimulates creativity and innovation. It allows staff to value different perspectives, and it increases the motivation to learn. So these are the positive impacts uh, by any conflict resolution process. And then the negative ones, you were right on that part as well, that it reduces the productivity, it increases the stress, inefficient communication channels, ineffective decision making, and similarly poor cooperation and low morale. So these are the positive and negative impact. Okay, we are done with the quiz of first section. We will move to the case. Okay, there is a very small case scenario in this. It is about the employer and employee conflict. Okay, I mean, we have already given the conflict type, but we are just going to discuss like an employee complains. So the scenario is the employee complains that the company's new compensation package does not fairly reflect increased workloads, causing tension with management. Okay, so I want you to take it as a real case scenario, maybe in your situation. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so, I mean, let like basically we are just going to discuss like what happens in such case scenario.
Mm-hmm.
So we will identify the conflict type, what type of conflict it is. Then we will identify the source in this. So maybe I'll give you a minute to understand this, and then we will
Mm-hmm.
discuss. So what do you think is the conflict type and the source of this?
There, that's a typical employer-employee conflict, and the source I think is largely based on their, I mean, kind of everything about all the dimensions we talk about, but probably mainly due to limited resources.
Okay, so yeah, it is clear that conflict type is employer-employee, which is clear from the case scenario also. Coming to the source part, I will just uh, help you here. So these are the sources that we study, sources of organizational conflict. So in the whole process of conflict resolution, we have to like move step by step. We cannot skip any step. So whenever there
Okay.
is a situation between before us, we have to do step by step. First of all, we have to identify what type of conflict it is. Then we have to identify the source, and then the next steps that we have already discussed. So we have identified what type of conflict it is, right? It is an employee employer conflict.
Yep.
Then source. So here, what do you understand? Employment relationship, then interdependence, limited resources, and differentiation. Since this is employee and employer conflict, employment relationship is the
Yeah,
suitable
makes
source
sense.
here that we can find.
Yeah,
Like
makes sense.
it clearly makes sense, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so what happens in employment relationship? Source of conflict emanates from an imbalance between. So in this case scenario that we have seen, there is an imbalance, right?
Mm-hmm.
The employer's requirement of productivity and cost effectiveness, and then there is employees' desire of security and rewards. The same thing is happening here, correct?
Yeah, true.
So now conflict type and source is clear for you, or you
Yeah.
have any doubt in that?
Yeah, it's correct.
It's clear, right? We have case two here, which is about the next, which is producer and supplier conflict. Okay, so suppose there is a supplier consistently delivering raw materials late, causing delays in production schedules. So we have to like let's just do a little discussion about what type of conflict it is, which is I
Mm-hmm.
think clear from this. Then we have to discuss what source does it represent. So in this case, what do you think? What type of a source it represents?
Mm,
So conflict type is clear that it is producer and supplier conflict.
yes.
Okay.
Interdependency, I think.
Yes. Yeah. So the thing is, the source can be one or more. It's not like it has to be one particular source only. It can be one or more source. So
Yeah, that's
interdependence, you
true.
are right on that part. Yeah. So this situation, this particular case is the source of this is interdependence that we have discussed. Then there is it can be limited resources also,
Yeah.
right? Limited resources. When does it happen? When groups and individuals are in direct competition for the allocation of limited resources across the organization. So these two can be the source of the particular conflict, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Can we move to the next case, which is about different departments refuse to share information because they belong to separate cliques, leading to mistrust. So this is what type of conflict, and then what type of how does differentiation cause this conflict, that we have to discuss basically in this. So what do you understand by this? Like how does how does the differentiation cause this conflict?
Well, different priority of different their
Yeah.
departments, and then they probably one's looking out for American rendering examples. Bottom line, one other
Hmm.
departments focusing on top line growth. Then of
Yeah.
course there could be a conflict.
Yeah. Good job. You're right on that part. So I think we're done with section one. So yeah, this is what we have studied in section one. Basically, I'll just give you an overview, a quick overview. We started with the learning objectives. We have covered the conflict and organization. Um, then like what is the conflict, and what are the type of conflicts within the organization. Then we moved on and we studied it in like little detail, like within some examples. Then source of the organizational conflict. Maybe what you can do is you can just make a step by step process, or process of the conflict resolution. So it starts from identifying the type of conflict. Okay. So first step, identify the type of conflict. Next step, identify the source of organizational conflict. So that is our next step. Whenever there is any case scenario, like we discussed three cases right now, or similar, any type of case come. So these are the steps when we are doing the conflict resolution. Identify the type of conflict, source of organizational conflict. Then, after identifying the source, we have to see the impact on the organization, whether impact positive or negative. So, that is the sub step you can say. Then, perspectives of conflict within organizations that we have studied. Like there can be different type of perspectives. Then what we have seen after that is the roles. So what are the roles in conflict? So after we are done with the starting steps, we have to define the role, like whether it is any arbitrator, mediator, or advocate. What role are we is going to be there in the particular. Then we discussed conflict handling strategies also. So these are the strategies. After that, oh, so these are some strategies for managers. Then conflict handling style is the next one, what we have studied, right? So right now we're done with the quiz one. Maybe again later in the day we will again just quickly recap about this with some different questions.
Yeah,
So
sure.
moving on to the next one, we're done with the section one. We will move to the section two, which is about the handling strategies. Okay, so we've discussed these strategies. Now let's see if we are able to answer the questions about these strategies. Okay, which strategy involves one party winning at the expense of the other party?
That would be the win lose.
Yeah, good job. I'm so happy that you are able to answer. Good job. So this is a win-lose situation if you see. I'll just give you a look here. How it is. So this is these strategies. This is a win-lose strategy where neither party can achieve the agreement. Goals are achieved at the expense of one party. And this is what our question says. Okay. Then next is, what conflict handling strategy aims to fix the problem without blame?
The mediators, their thing. I don't know.
Okay, so we are talking about strategies, right? So
Wing,
there
wing,
are,
wing, 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 wing. Sorry. Sorry.
yeah, good job, good job. I'll give that point to you. Win-win strategy aims to fix the problem without blaming any interested party or any stakeholders for that matter. Okay, coming to the next one, it says, when is the lose-lose strategy typically used? So there are four situations given: when one party dominates, when both parties have equal power and compromise is needed, to avoid conflict altogether, and to punish both parties. So when do we use lose-lose strategy? Let's see.
To avoid the conflict.
To avoid conflict together, which is third option, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's see. Lose-lose strategy is here we have. Okay, neither party can achieve agreement. Goals are not achieved at the expense of both parties. Uh, Once more, let's see what is the question. Uh, it says, when do we use this basically? When one party dominates, when both parties have equal power and compromise is needed. Then to avoid conflict altogether and to punish both parties. Again, let's see. Then used to eliminate conflict issue. Both parties usually possession of equal power or resources. This is about lose-lose strategy, what we have seen. So can you relate with this? Like both party usually is possession of equal power and resources with any option here.
Okay, that's more for B. Okay. Mm.
Yeah, so this is about lose-lose strategy. It is mentioned here that in this, both parties usually is possession of equal power. So that is what happened in this. And if you go with the option that you have selected, which is to avoid conflict altogether, uh, then it is not like it is not about avoiding conflict. Okay, it is the like we are not using the avoiding method here. Like we are not using the avoiding style. Basically, we have discussed. Maybe we can use this strategy to eliminate the conflict issue, but here it is compromising seeking. So the key approach that we use here is compromising seeking and not the avoidance. So now you can relate. Like, is it
Mm-hmm.
clear to you? Are you
Okay.
able to relate? Is it clear?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, great. Okay, next one. What role does an arbitrator play in conflict resolution? So we have discussed there are three type of roles. Arbitrator. Next one.
Uh,
Do you recall?
mediator, and then the third one is
Mm-mm.
I don't remember the third one. Sorry.
It's okay. It's totally okay. The third one is advocate.
Ah, yeah, right.
Arbitrator, mediator, and advocate. So here, I mean, I put the question about arbitrator only, but definitely I would want you to understand all three roles.
Mm-hmm.
So let's just discuss about arbitrator. Like, do you have an idea what role does it play? We have discussed, but I just want to know, understand your point of view. If you have, like, if
Mm-hmm.
you recall anything,
Yeah,
what role?
it basically comes in as a third party, listen to the positions and information and
Yeah.
interests of both the conflicting parties, and then make decision. Um,
Yes. Yeah, you are like very near to that. So the first thing that we have read in arbitrator role is we apply, or maybe it comes into the picture when both the parties cannot come to a agreement mutually. That is when the
yeah,
arbitrator comes into the picture, right? You remember that?
yeah.
Good job. So let's see here the other things. So both parties cannot find agreement by themselves, and then that's when the arbitrator comes into the picture. So yeah, your answer was quite near, like nearest to the correct option. Um, um, then the arbitrator is entrusted to make the decisions. What does it do? What does the arbitrator do? It meets both the parties, and gathers information on their positions, and then the arbitrator uses that information to make a decision. Okay, the arbitrator role is clear to you now.
Yeah.
Okay, good job. Now, since we are doing the arbitrator, let's do the mediator. Let's just do a recall, quick recall. Okay. So, what does a mediator do? Mediator refocuses the parties from positions to interest. The mediator determines the real positions of both the parties and defines these in terms of interest. And also, it engages both parties in the process of generating alternatives that may satisfy the needs of both parties. So mediator finds the alternate solutions also when there is any conflict. That this is what the main role of the mediator. The mediator finds the alternate solutions. And then comes the advocate role. So advocate operates from the strong power base. I hope you recall. You asked a question on this as well. So this is quite simple. The advocate influences the decision of an individual or a group through this power
Yeah.
position using the persuasion. Okay. Okay, we are done with these section 2 quizzes. Let's move on to the scenario. Okay. The scenario is a manager imposes a deadline on a team without their input, causing achieve agreement. Goals are achieved at the expense of one party, and one party usually is possession of more power or resources, and it is not suited to building relationships. And the last point says usually pursued when a decision has to be taken quickly. Okay, now can you relate our scenario with this?
Well, if you put it like that into different work, yes, okay, fine. I understand logic.
Yeah, because this is what is happening in that scenario. Because the win party, who is the win party in that case? The manager, right?
Okay.
And manager is at the place where the manager has.
Compromise in between, but outcome wise is closer to a win-win, I guess.
Yes, yes, you are actually right in this scenario. So the win-win strategy is used here. Let's just go through this strategy again. So I hope you understand now the whole purpose of all the quizzes, all the questions is
Yeah.
to go through the
Yeah.
strategies and go through everything again. Okay.
Yeah.
So the strategy, the win-win strategy says the purpose of the strategy is to fix the problem without blame. Then those who use it listens to all the points of view, define the basic issues, and create an atmosphere of trust among all involved. Then you can see here, all involved must believe that resolution will be based upon the merits of the case and not through political or personal influence. The win-win strategy, again, since we're going through it, let's see all the points. Those seeking a win-win solution should be flexible, sensitive, patient, and calm. Now, I want you to relate and like just relate this with the scenario that is there. So, all these points, I hope it is relatable now to the scenario
Mm-hmm.
what I
Yeah.
have given, right? So, also in this strategy, no one should feel threatened or humiliated. And these are the assumptions that we do for win-win strategy. What are the assumptions? People want to work together. People can work together to solve mutual problems. People respect each other's right to participate in decisions that affect them. Now, if I just ask you a different question, the previous scenario that we have seen, where
Mm-hmm.
the manager has imposed some task on the employee, What are
That's the
styles in
competing
this?
one.
Hmm.
That's
Yes, yes. So just to give you a recap, we have discussed five type of styles. Am I correct? Right?
yeah, the metrics of their
Yeah,
yeah
yeah, that matrix. If you remember that
yeah
figure was there.
yeah.
Okay, so which style is assertive but uncooperative, often leading to win-lose outcome is competing. So you are correct on that part. How is it like that? I will show you also. Like what do we do in competing style? So this is the competing style. It is a win-lose situation. Conflict resolves in the interest of one party. Relationship can be damaged and resentment can develop on the part of the loser. Then, in which situation we apply this? So, when decisive action is required quickly, it can be about cost cutting, the any disciplinary related issue. So, competing is the correct answer. Next, what style involves low assertiveness and high cooperativeness? What do you
That
think?
would be their accommodating, I think. Just basically
Mm,
prioritize relationship.
yes, good job. So accommodating in this, it may cause a lose-win situation. Recognition that the other party has a better solution. So it is about accommodating. Relationship more important than solution. It retains a good relationship and builds goodwill. And when do we apply this? When you are wrong and a better perspective should be heard to the betterment of the organization. So these are some situations when we apply
Mhm.
this. Also to build relationships and secure organizational balance. Also to when we have to minimize the loss. That is when we basically apply this. Okay.
Mhm.
Then which style is best when a quick and temporary solution is needed? Uh, what do you
Avoid.
think?
That's basically the avoid one. I forgot the name.
Avoid. Okay. Okay, when a quick and temporary solution is needed. Let's quickly see. So we are done with competing. We saw when do we apply it, and then we collaborating is about like win-win situation when both parties are satisfied and things like that. Third one is compromising. Needs of both parties are satisfied on trading or compromising of resources. It also lays the foundation of the collaboration. When positions are important, but not so much as destroying relationships. When both parties have equal power and resources are committed to mutually exclusive perspective. So this is about compromise and also to expedite a temporary solution on a complex issue. This is about compromising. And
Mhm.
the question asks which style is best when a quick temporary solution is
Okay.
needed. Okay, so temporary solution, compromising. So when we have to find a temporary solution, we usually use compromising. But you said avoiding. Let's see what happens in avoiding. It's a no-win situation, no treatment of the conflict situation. So in this, there is no treatment like we don't
Okay.
even give the temporary solution in this. It can lead to frustration and reduce trust levels. Then the applications, like when do we use it? When more important issues prevail. If you remember, we have discussed like it is like avoiding, like we can avoid that conflict and focus on the more important issues, right? So our question was, which style is best or when a quick temporary solution is needed? So it is about compromising because solution is needed. It is not that we can
Yeah,
avoid
that's
it.
true.
Is it clear?
That's true. Yeah, that's true.
Okay. So the answer is compromising. Next one is which conflict style is useful when the issue is trivial or emotions are running high?
Yeah,
Now,
that should be the avoid now.
Yeah. So yeah, you got it right. um, when the when the issue is trivial or emotions are running high, let's again just see the avoiding ones. It is to allow for a settling period until emotional content has abated. So avoiding is their style.
Other party is not going to be happy about that usually.
Yes, so conflict. We were done with role strategy is. So we were done with role strategy is styles. It is almost everything is done. Now we come to the conflict outcomes. So, what do you think now? What must be there in conflict outcomes? So we have done the analyzing part. Now now it is the, like, you can say this is the last step where we get the outcome. When we have applied all the strategies, and all type of roles that we have discussed, we have identified what type of conflict it is, we have taken the style, that what style we are going to use in this particular conflict resolution. Then it comes the conflict outcomes. So in this, there are four type of conflict outcomes that we are going to discuss. uh, First is exploration, then reflection, then creativity, and the last one that we are going to discuss is renewal. So these are the four conflict outcomes. Okay. Oh, let's see what happens in that. As we saw, exploration, reflection, creativity, and renewal. So what is the exploration type? During conflict situations, differing perspectives are proposed, and these perspectives or solutions can be explored to generate the most appropriate solution for the organization. So this is a explore, as the name suggests, this is a exploration type. So in this type we explore different perspectives. So this is a very important part of any conflict resolution, is to cater all the perspectives that are there. And what do we mean by all the perspectives? Is the point of view of the interested parties and the stakeholders that are involved. We have to explore the different situations, or the perspectives that are proposed. So that is one type of outcome that we get. And the next is reflection. So in this, what happens? Conflict situations allow all parties concerned to reflect on their own position and commitment, facilitating greater understanding and heightened values and beliefs within the organization. So like till now, whatever we are discussing, it is of course more about theoretical, because conflict resolution is more theoretical part only. Like we have to understand, identify all the things. So outcomes is also nothing like some mathematical or something related to that. It is also more theoretical, but it is very important when when we encounter any real life scenario. That is when all the things come into the picture. That is when you remember that, okay, we have discussed this, that is how we can apply it, and that is how this is the situation, that is how we can identify the situation. So that is a part of it. Coming back to the outcome, the reflection outcome, like conflict situations allow all parties concerned to reflect their own position and commitment, facilitating greater understanding and heightened values and beliefs within the organization. So it is about a reflection of all the parties on their position. Like it is also, you can say, a type of the understand the perspective. But if you see, the most common thing in all these outcomes We are including all stakeholders, like all interested parties. So that is one very important thing while initiating any conflict resolution, that you have to include all the interested parties, all the stakeholders that are involved in that particular conflicts. And it is in each step, not that only while identifying you have included the parties and after that you are doing all the steps on your own. No, you can't do that. You have to include as at each step that who all parties are involved. Maybe it depends on the process. It can be a person only, the stakeholder. So that is also like an important point to be noted here. So there is a reflection outcome. Then comes the creativity outcome. So what happens in creativity outcome? As with exploration, the generation of many different perspectives or solution and the subsequent exploration process can facilitate greater creativity and innovation within the organization. So this is related to the exploration part, where there are different perspectives or solution, and subsequent exploration process can also facilitate greater creativity. That is about the creativity outcome of this. Then we talk about the renewal outcome. So the existence of conflict can highlight fundamental issues within the organization, which, if had not manifested in the form of conflict, it could have impaired the long-term and effective functioning of the organization. So this is a renewal, basically. The existence of conflict that can highlight the fundamental issues within the organization, and if it had not manifested in the form of conflict, that would be like impaired. And also it can affect the functioning of the organization in the long term. So this is basically four type of outcomes that come. But I know it is a very initial step that we are studying. We are seeing just the theoretical part of it. But as we move forward, we'll see some scenarios related to it. How we can imply this in in any real case scenario. Then it will be more helpful, and it will be it will make more sense to you, maybe. I can say that. So
Yep.
this is basically the four outcomes. Coming to the handling conflict. So yeah, after all these steps and even before starting handling conflicts, these are some important points that we should keep in mind, that all the time, whether we are applying any role, any strategy, we are doing any analysis of any identification of the interested parties or anything, we need to keep in mind while doing any conflict management, that we should encourage honesty and openness to all the stakeholders. So most conflict situations emerge from either lack of information or misinformation. So these can be the two situations when the conflict can occur. If you can just think of some examples. So these are the main two situations which emerges the conflicts. Also, encourage your staff to be honest in their dealings, and where possible provide them with the necessary information to effectively perform their jobs. Then to take time to listen and respond to their concerns. That is how we encourage honesty and openness. Then be clear on your position. So it is very important to be like clear that what is your position in the whole process. Um, ensure that all times that your position on issues is clear, and where disagreement or conflict exists, restate this position. So during the process also the conflicts can exist. Okay. So in that also you should be very clear. So that is why it is these are the some important points that you should keep in mind. Okay. Then dependent on the situation, this may require some adjustments also, because your like the position can require some adjustments as well. Depends on the again the case. It depends on what type of process we are looking for. Also, it is important that the staff feel both confident and secure in your position. So, uh, as I told you that all the um, stakeholders, all the interested parties plays a very important role while applying any sort of methodology about conflict resolution. So the staff or the interested parties that are there should feel confident and secure in your position. They should feel that yeah, whatever resolution you will come up with, they should uh, they should be agreeing to that. They should feel that confident and that secure that you will give them a proper resolution of the conflict, and you will do a proper conflict management. Again, as I have been reiterating, so this is a very important point that involve all the stakeholders. Always involve all the relevant stakeholders in the conflict handling process. Relevant stakeholders. I hope you're like very much clear about what do we mean by stakeholders, or maybe if you can you just help me with an example, like how would you uh, involve the stakeholders in any particular situation, and maybe you can give a scenario from yourself, like what would be the who all would be the stakeholders in a particular scenario. Can you just give me an example? Maybe that will help the discussion.
But then probably one example out of the due diligence process, and then it's one very common conflict. It's about timeline of or and also their desired outcome of their. For instance,
Yeah.
when we need their due diligence report on that specific day in that specific format containing these kind of information, but might be our colleague from the business unit may feel that this is too much work for that specific timeline,
Hmm.
and the information needed will not be possible fully collected at that specific timeline. So the stakeholder will of course be us, the M&A department, and also the business unit colleagues and their relative supervisor, most likely their CFOs or operations directors in their specific business unit, and of course our CFOs, and then probably some um, operation colleagues and advisors, lawyers that are also involved in this process.
Yeah, so all the involved like parties will be your relevant stakeholders. So yeah, you're correct. So all of these stakeholders should be involved. And what do we mean by involve here? What do you think? How should we involve them in the whole process?
Well, for the direct ones, that has a direct impact. Then they're included in their at least information chain, distributing emails, potentially
Yeah.
sending out meeting invites, and then also communicate their outcomes, and then just basically keep the information loop. And then also up to date regarding the conflicted topic. What's the view from our side? What's the counterparty side and arguments?
Yeah, fair enough. So yeah, proper documentation or proper reporting or overall a proper communication should be there. It's not that like we have to involve them in our every internal like process, whether we are identifying anything and we involve them, but we should be involving them at each step. After we are done with the first step, we should involve them. And how do we do
Yep.
that? With the help of a proper maybe we can do the email, keeping all the stakeholders in that email, and explaining them that this steps are done, this is what is
Mm-hmm.
identified, this is the future purpose or future plan. This is how we can keep them involved. Then since it's a very important step, so mm, maybe you can just give me an idea about why it is important. Like, why should we involve the stakeholders? Like, what happens if we do it on our own? Like, can you just give me an idea?
Well, if there's already a conflict, we don't want to make it worse, right? That's usually cause on
Yeah. Yes.
the either
Because
different. Yes,
Mhm. Yeah, because we are doing the conflict resolution, and we definitely don't want another conflict while doing that. Okay,
exactly.
so in future it can create the conflict, right? If you don't keep them in the communication, all the relevant stakeholders, then maybe in future they can question you that how did you propose this conflict management or conflict resolution thing, like
Yeah.
why did you propose this, and how did you come to the outcome. So that is why it is important. So I think it is very much clear to you. Next thing that we should keep in mind while doing the handling of a conflict, it's to take time to think. We should never rush in with a resolution. This might seem very simple, like okay, these are the steps, and we can quickly do a resolution. But you should not rush. So you should never rush in with a resolution. You should do step by step. There can be some steps that can take more time also, like identifying the roles, or maybe identifying which strategy to use. So there can be steps like that. So you should never rush in with the resolution. Then take time to gather the fact, positions, and all sides to the conflict. So this is also a very elaborative approach in itself when you are doing this. So gathering the facts, you can be using different type of uh, tools. With tools, I mean, like, how do you gather the fact when you have two parties in front of you, and you have to understand the situation from them, you have to gather the facts from them. Maybe you can use different type of uh, activities. First one that is commonly used is questionnaire. we
Mm-hmm.
we prepare a questionnaire, and we give to the parties, and we will get the facts basis on that. That is a written thing, so it is like a documented purpose. Then interviewing also, maybe you can have a discussion with the teams, with both the parties. So this is also what is said, that take time to gather the facts, the positions, and all sides to the conflict. Then allocate adequate time to generate a response or resolution. Here also, it is being said that there is no need to rush, because it is maybe a complex process, if we can say. So that's a complex process. We should not rush on this. We should allocate adequate time to generate response or resolution. So of course, timeline should be there, that we should be meeting the timelines, and but we should be preparing the timelines. This is the giving it not in the rush. Like we should give it enough time to understand the situation, to gather the facts, to fit the positions, and understand the whole scenario. Then focus on shared goals. So mostly our objective should be a win-win, that we should focus on shared goals. um, what we can do for that, ensure that organizations objectives are focused on in any conflict situation. This focusing generates commitment and ensures that the strengths of the group are maximized to the betterment of the organization as a whole. Okay, so we should focus on the shared goals, like what is the common goal. That is why when maybe I can give you an example. So when I give training for other like I give it trainings for ISO and other standards as well. So there also this is our first step towards any management. Like I give the training for risk management also. So there also the first thing that we tell is to understand the objective, to understand the mission and vision of the organization. So when we know that, okay, this is the goal of the organization, and then we will understand the conflict resolution steps better, that what we should apply, considering that the goal is this. So that is where the shared goals are very important, to understand that what is the goal of the organization, or maybe both the parties that are involved. So what is the goal? When there is a conflict, there must be a positive goal that they are trying to achieve. So you should focus on that. Then probe areas of new gain. Continually seek out innovative ways of resolving the conflict situation. Then try to be objective in all your interactions. As I said, uh, you have to try to be like all the interactions that you are going to have with the interested parties. You should be trying to be objective in. And of course it is a continual improvement process. So any mitigation process that we do, so conflict resolution is also a type of mitigation that we're doing, the conflict mitigation. So that is also we should be continually looking for the improvement. It is never done. This is what I basically tell, that it is never done like you are done with all these steps and you can say this is a conflict resolution. Yeah, for the time being it can be, but there can be situations when you have to go through all the steps again. So you should always be innovative in your ways of finding the solution of the conflict situations. Okay, so these are some important points that you should keep in mind while handling the conflict. I hope it is clear. Is there anything you want to discuss on that?
So far, so good. It's quite clear.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, then moving on to the summary, whatever we have discussed. So we have discussed the conflict. Conflict is a process that begins when one party perceives that another party has negatively affected or is about to negatively affect something that the first party cares about. Now, what can be the first party cares about here? It can be the objective of the organization or mission or vision of the organization. So that is when the conflict occurs. Then we have discussed conflict and emerged from many sources. What are the sources? Employer and employee, like between an employer employee, producer supplier, retailer customer, and investor and entrepreneur. Then we have discussed various perspectives have been proposed on conflict within the organization: unitarist, pluralist, interactionist, and radical. After that, a win-win strategy is most desirable within nearly all conflict situations. Identify conflict outcomes to the organization that we have discussed. Then handling style. There are 5 handling styles that we have discussed. So these are the like main key points that you can note for your, your personal notes that you may be creating for yourself. But these are the like the summary is like the main like an overview you can say. So we have discussed the handling styles. I think it is very much clear to you all the 5 handling styles. Then we have at the end we have discussed the conflict outcomes to the organization. The 4 outcomes that we have discussed: exploration, reflection, creativity, and renewal. Clear?
Yes.
Okay. So with this, we are done with all the steps, all the strategies, roles, and the impacts and the outcomes. We're done with that. Now, since we just discussed the live